Hey
Hey,
guys,
soul sister.
soul sister.
So today we have a very exciting segment because we're bringing on a fellow warrior of light, a soul brother, the first of our soul brother segment on Soul Sisters. Someone is also a fellow healer and has an amazing story to share. And we're so excited to share and bring on masculine energy into the Soul Sisters segment.
His name is Jeff Craigen, and he's coming to share his story. Jeff had an autoimmune disease, and he was told by doctors that there was no cure. So he went on his own journey to discover his cure. And let's have a listen.
Yeah, I mean, my story is quite like elaborate, and it goes in quite detail. So I mean, I'll just start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, I grew up in a small town, and I was just pursuing an oil rig career. That's kind of what we do in the small town. Is like, oh, graduate, go to the rigs, make a bunch of money, and figure it out from there. And then when I was up there, I kind of was like, nah, that's not really what I want to do. So I started to look at other options, and it was actually my mom at the time. She was like, oh, you should check out acting. And I was like, I don't know, like it's not something I'm really into with like theater. And I was like, anyway, I went to check it out, and the guy was my old boxing coach, and we hit it off right away. And I quit my oil rig job, and I became an actor. So I was an actor for about 8 years. And this whole journey started when I was about 23, roughly. So it was during that time that I encountered an incurable autoimmune disease called ankylosing spondylitis. And for those of you guys don't know what that is, it's basically like arthritis in your spine. And there's two bone spurs in your spine that eventually, they say, fuse over time. And you can't do any physical activities. You can't do anything that you really would normally do at a young age. And they said that I possibly could end up in a wheelchair. So anyway, just to give you a context of why and how this happens in a deeper spectrum, basically I was an actor for many years, and I put a tremendous amount of pressure on myself. And that started to lead to my body saying no. And it said that through this incurable disease. And so I was in the gym training for a role for a TV series, and I did a deadlift. And 2 days later, I started to experience back and leg pain, and I had this like crazy sensation go up through my body. And at the time, I was just kind of like, oh, it's an injury. I'm a personal trainer as well, and so I was like, oh, I must have done something physical. And so what happened is, it started to get worse and worse. And it was about 4 days in or so, my brother came over, and I stood up to kind of greet him, and my whole body just like collapsed to the floor. And I didn't know what was going on. We thought there was like a tumor or cancer or something. And then I was rushed to the emergency hospital, and they ran all sorts of tests, and we had to wait on the tests. And then in that time frame, they sent me to the rheumatologist. And I went to the rheumatologist, and they took a blood test, and they did all these crazy tests. And there was something that came back called ankylosing spondylitis. And he said, yeah, this is incurable. There's no cure. Many people like you're going to have to be on something called biologics, which is like $20,000 a month to maintain these medications that suppress the inflammation in the nervous system. Mm-hmm. And so I remember getting that diagnosis and just saying to him, no. I just was like, no, sorry, it's not happening. And he's like, what do you mean? It's incurable. I was like, yeah, to you, but no, it's not happening. Because I understood that our bodies heal themselves, and I understood that my body could heal itself. So, and I didn't gravitate to the idea that like, here, I'm a healthy young guy, take care of myself, eat well, do all these things, and this is happening.
So did you always have a spiritual or religious background?
No, I didn't personally. I just kind of was like, oh yeah, it's universe, like a higher power. Wasn't a thing in my life. My mom was Christian, but I never really went that way. I was kind of like, nah, I'm good on that. And I went in a different direction, like most people do with the parents when that stuff kind of forced on you. And then so basically I tried everything you could possibly imagine to try to fix this. And I said to the rheumatologist, I said, I'm going to find a cure for this. And when I do, I'm going to bring it back so that I can help other people. And then he said, even if you do, I can't use it because it's not part of our protocol. So it kind of, to me, instantly said, okay, well, you're not looking for a cure. So be on this chase to try to fix and like cure this thing and heal this thing. And I tried everything. And some stuff would work until it didn't. And then I would like see glimpses and insights as to like, okay, well, that's weird. I'd sit down when I'm in pain. I would sit down and I'd be in pain, but then I could like, you know, play basketball for 5 minutes and I'd be fine. And I was like, well, that doesn't make sense. Like, what is this, you know? So I cut out like all food, all liquids, and the pain was still there. And that was the first indication to me of like, there's something else going on here. There's something that I'm not seeing. And at the time I was looking on YouTube and, you know, looking at different people who went through this. And one of the guys was talking about like, oh, I did a no carbohydrate diet and that seemed to work. And I did like drink apple cider every day and that seemed to work. And then I checked with him for like, you know, a month after that. And he's like, no, it came back. And I was like, okay. So I started to kind of see things that just didn't make sense. And it got to the point where it was like day in, day out, chronic pain. My relationships were falling apart. My acting career was falling apart. Everything in my life was really just, from the outside, looked like it was falling apart. And it felt like that. And it just started to cascade. And I just got to the point where I knew that if something didn't change or something didn't shift, that I wasn't going to live anymore. I made that choice. I basically was like, if this doesn't change, I'm ending my life. Because I was too young and I was at the point where I could not live like that the rest of my life, nor did I want to. And so basically I was hobbling home one day after a treatment and I just felt so discouraged. And all of a sudden I'm in the alleyway and my body just collapses once again and it just falls to the ground. And I'm in the alleyway by myself and I'm just bawling my eyes out. And I sat there for about an hour and just at this low point of knowing that if something's not shifting, like, this is it. And I'm that type of personality that's like, once I make a decision, I make a decision. And once I knew that if something didn't change, like there was no wavering. It was done. And so after that, I managed to hobble back to my house and I went upstairs and I knew that this was either going to be the death of me or a miracle was going to happen. And I was coming upstairs and I didn't go to my knee, but I was brought to my knees. I was brought to my knees and I had to, I guess, humble myself in a way. And what I did is I fell down to my knee and I didn't know where to look or what to do or what to say. So I literally just looked up and I was like, if you're real, now's the fucking time. And those are the words I used specifically. And I sat there for about 4 seconds and nothing happened. And then all of a sudden this energy just like struck me in my head and like ricocheted through my body. And there were like slideshows that popped out of my arm. Like I could see all my traumas. I could see everything that accumulated over my life that had been repressed and stored in my body and my tissues and my fascia, you know, my ligaments. Some people might hear this and go, yeah, like that's, you know, woohoo stuff. But that's what happened. That was my experience. And I could see everything coming out. And then all of a sudden, everything in my arm just like, and it went out my fingertips. And I was bawling my eyes out. And the pain wasn't gone. But then this little voice was like, look up, pay attention. And I looked up. And in the corner of the room was a golden candle flame. And it just came in and it was like, and in the middle of that golden candle flame was the face of Jesus. And he just looked at me.
I have goosebumps too.
I literally have shivers all over my body. Sorry, you can go ahead.
Yeah. No, it brings emotions to me just talking about it, because it was a man, but it was also the essence of a female, a male, and everything. It was encompassed by love and unconditional acceptance. And he just looked at me, didn't say anything, just looked at me, and just sat in this candle flame and just stared at me. And it lasted about 5 seconds, and then just gone.
Wow.
And there was just this presence, and you can't even put into words. It was just like this. Yeah, it was like this overwhelming feeling of just always being loved and protected and seen and acknowledged, and that we are not alone, and that we're never alone. And after that happened, I just knew that I'd be okay. I just knew. Because if I could sit there and be at my last possible moment and God still shows up, then what am I worried about when I face any trials or tribulations in my life? I started just to kind of understand why I was in these symptoms and what was happening. And I started to see the words I used are very powerful. I'd call my disease, my chronic pain, my anxiety. I'd literally claim it. And when we use those words, and when we say like, this thing's going to kill me, the doctors told me this, right? That becomes a new fear response that I carried. And my body doesn't know the difference between something real and something imagined. So it just reacted. And I started to see that I was creating this. So if I created this, that means that I could have the ownership and responsibility to explore it and discover what's really there. And then there was another guy that really helped the process. His name is Dr. Sarno, and he's an amazing, amazing pioneer of the mind-body medicine. And he encompasses one aspect of it, and it's absolutely amazing. If you don't know Dr. Sarno, I'd highly recommend checking out his books. And he was one of the doctors that basically said, like, yeah, all these things are emotional undertows, and the medical community has labeled them as something that needs to be medicated, fixed, or cut out with a knife. So the thing that he did differently is he started to show me that I needed the symptom to protect me on some level. So what I coach people and show them is that the main emotion that gets repressed the most is unconscious repressed rage. That's true, but it's also unconscious repressed rage tied to perfectionism, stemming from repressed joy, in which heals the body and the mind. Mm-hmm. And so started to really open that door to go, hey, your brain is doing you a favor and going, I'm going to give you this symptom so that you don't have to actually feel the deep undertow of the emotion in which the symptom is created for. Does that make sense?
Definitely.
So he started to really go, your brain is thinking it's doing you a favor by giving you the symptom to protect you. And you trying to fix the symptom will create more of the symptom. And so when I started to really understand that, I started to see like the personality traits of the perfectionist, the high achiever, the people pleaser, the do-gooder, the one who's always left wondering, did I do enough? Am I good enough? The one who has deep feelings of inadequacies and feeling of worthlessness inside of themselves. And so they try to prove to others, they try to be seen constantly. They try to get people to like them all the time is part of it. You know, there's many people out there who claim to be the healer, and I'm not the healer. I'm the person who allows people to see their own healer in themselves, because it's not about me. It's about learning how to trust ourselves again and learning how to take ownership for the part of ourselves that we don't want to be seen.
I really, really resonate with that, because that's what Shaheena and I talk about a lot in our book, and explaining to everyone that you don't need an external healer. Every single person is a healer, because every single person is a part of source energy, whatever it is that you call that source, right? Regardless of language, regardless of name, all of us are connected to that one consciousness. And all of us have the power to completely heal ourselves. But it's just that people have forgotten that. People don't believe that. So it's just guiding them back to themselves. We call it the journey within, and just taking them on a step-by-step journey. And it was a journey for us writing it as well, because we thought it's going to be some crazy, like, in-depth stuff. And I had written so much, and Shaheena and I were both, you know, channeling, would go into meditation, and how long we thought the book would be and how in depth we thought it would be. It was so much shorter, so much simpler. And really, when it was done, we were like, we had like so much writing that we had taken out. Like, really, this is it, right? And it's because it's really those small, simple steps that you take that are based around things and words that are just thrown around today, you know, like faith and belief and knowing, acknowledgement, all of those things.
We are our own healers, but part of the journey that I've seen is that people need to learn how to ask for help, and that's where the guiding and coaching come in. Because we, as you know, especially men, it's like to ask for help is weak, right? And so that's where the teaching people how to be their own healers is part of that coaching.
Your body is always telling you things that are underlying mental issues, emotional issues, the spirit crying out, looking for, you know, connection, direction.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever people are going through any kind of physical stuff, like just recently, I've had this issue with hives. Whenever my body gets really heated, I just start breaking out, whether it's the heat outside or I get into a really hot shower. And I did a meditation just 2 days ago, actually, and trying to heal it. And I was shown directly the exact moment it started, how it started, why it started, and what it was that triggered me, and how I need to start letting go of all of the trauma surrounding that, and need to let go of all the events that surrounded that, which it just makes so much sense because it ties around to so many things that have been coming up and I've been dealing with. So it really is crazy how everything is so interconnected and so interlinked. And I wanted to ask you, like, you know, when you said that you had all those things show up on your arm, like, what were they stemmed in? It just, like, where did the rage come from? Was it childhood issues?
Totally, yeah. So, you know, a lot of it comes back to shame, and the shame that we carry for the emotions that we have and the sensitivity that we have. And it's ironic because a lot of people think, you know, men are less emotional. They're actually a lot more emotional, but they just hide it well.
Yeah, no, for sure. Men are not allowed to be vulnerable.
Yeah, for sure. That's why we have some of the highest suicide ratings, is because there's no really safe place for men. So for me, it was mostly, and it's such a little thing, right? It's we don't even think that something like this can actually trigger like a whole cascade of shame, where, you know, my mom, when I was a kid, and, you know, I don't blame her in any way for this, because she was just going by what she was shown when she was a kid too. So I just carry these cycles on. But what would happen was, what I would be angry, or I'd have a tantrum, or I would, you know, want love and attention, and that's the way I would get it. Sometimes I would pretend that I was hurt so I would get love and attention. And so what would happen was, my mom was very uncomfortable with any conflict or anything that's not like, you know, the perfect family, or like very, very like put together and perfect. And, you know, we all do it in many ways, and we try to keep peace. And so unknowingly, I would be feeling a certain way, and she would want to help and nurture and care and change the feeling to make me feel better. And that, as a kid, the message that I got was, you're not accepted just as you are. And in order to be loved, you need to change. And so, because, you know, there's many different things, where divorce and certain things, and as a kid, you take certain things on, these beliefs that you carry when we're young. But basically that carried on, where like, if I am expressing my emotions and expressing that part of myself, people are going to abandon me. They're not going to want me. They're not going to like me, and they're going to leave me. And so that just carried this cycle of shame over and over and over, until I just pretended like I didn't have any emotions. I don't think I cried for about 10 years. And
I think a lot of men have that, where they don't cry, and they think that not crying for years and years and years on end is completely okay. And it's not, because crying is a release, right?
Yeah, and it's you know, the notion that you know, man to be weak, it's like, that's the thing that keeps men strong. That's the thing that keeps all of us strong, is being able to actually show our vulnerabilities and go, okay, even though this is happening, you know, I'm gonna feel it and choose to trust and step forward in that. But it's kind of exciting at the same time, because when you understand that the reason they're not able to cry is also the reason that they'll discover God. Because either way you put it, they're going to get to that point in which they have to either feel it, or their body will feel it for them. So it's all to bring people closer to God, all to bring people closer to the divine connection, and go, hey, anytime that we put anything in front of God, we're always shown and humbled that nothing else really matters.
Your journey, your story is just, for me, I know Aaliyah has come across a lot of people who share, you know, the same insights, but actually hearing it firsthand from you literally brings tears to my eyes, because the same conclusions and the same insights are the same insights that I have made personally, and Aaliyah has made, and people continue to make. But unfortunately, it's not widely known information, or information that the masses are aware of. So it's so beautiful to know that we have someone in Bali who's going, you know, who's sharing this light, who's sharing this love, who's sharing these insights. So it's really inspiring to hear your story.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. And it's amazing to just see how perfectly interconnected, like, that everyone in some way is experiencing the truth, and like, you know, awesome books are being written, and podcasts and video things are, it's like, you know, God's really on the move. So it's really cool.
Yeah, there is definitely a mass awakening going on right now worldwide, especially with COVID and lockdowns and all these restrictions. With so much being, you know, so many people are starting to question reality and the state that everybody's living in, because our society, the way it's constructed, all our systems, especially the healthcare system, the education system, it's not built for the soul. It's not built for for
No,
the
yeah.
well-being of people, even though it may have started in that way. And a lot of people that are working in that industry have good intentions. But like you said, you know, the doctor that you went to that first diagnosed you, and you said, I'm going to find a cure and I'm going to come back to you. And he's like, well, I can't use it. It's mind blowing, because, you know, you're wanting to cure people and you're wanting to help people. But someone who's saying that I'm going to come back to you with a cure says we can't do it because it's not protocol. So are you healing people? Are you helping people? Or are you just following protocol, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. And, you know, it really dawned on me when I coached a guy in Bali here after, because I was like, okay, well, I was able to get my life back, so can I help other people? And so I coached one guy here in Bali like 3 years ago, and I'm getting goosebumps. He turned out, after we coached, he had like chronic knee pain. He was on his way to surgery to get his, you know, new kneecap because his meniscus was torn and all this stuff. He had chronic back pain, anxiety, depression. And we coached, and it was about, I don't know, 6 weeks or so of him going through this, and all of his symptoms went away. And then he gave me a testimonial, and he turned out to be a psychotherapist. And I was like, wow, here's a guy who is, you know, a counselor, a psychotherapist. He's got his degree. He's got all these things that, you know, his training and everything. And I don't, you know, I'm a personal trainer and a health coach, but mostly my degree is an experience. I've been there. I know what that's like. And so I can say from a position of strength that when I heard that, and I was like, he didn't even know about like the complexity of this exploration and this understanding of what's really going on. I'm like, this is going to be very new. You know, a lot of the people that I coach, it comes down to, they're very perfectionistic, and they're very like, okay, I'm ready to do it. Let's do it. Like, let's go. Come on, I'm ready to heal. Let's get in there. And it's like, stop. And then they realize that the pressure that they put on themselves to heal is actually just a behavior trait that is part of the disease. So they put a tremendous pressure on themselves to find that answer, to to figure it out, to get the knowledge, to get the understanding, to heal, right? And then when they actually realize that this isn't something that needs to be healed, it's there because the person is hiding aspects of themselves that don't want to be felt.
Want to just explain like what you're up to in Bali with your company called Mind Body Healer?
Yeah, totally. So I'm just coaching people online right now, and honestly, I'm not even advertising really. I'm just, people heal, and then they tell people, and then they come. And I just released a program called the CURE program. It's called Consciously Uncover Repressed Emotions. And it's all like a video home-based program where people can take on their own time. And right now I'm also starting to set up different speaking events and kind of going down that route. And ironically, I'm kind of getting back into acting too. So it's kind of like a mixture of many different things and enjoying different things. But yeah, just open for people when they're ready. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And when they're ready, they come.
From Aaliyah and I, it's so lovely to see you happy, healthy, joyous, committed to a purpose, committed to spreading love and light. And we're sending you so much love and light from Malawi and Dubai. Aaliyah's in Dubai and I'm in Malawi. And we really do hope to
I feel it. It's coming. It's coming. I was just bailed on that concrete, by the way. That's too much love and light.
But, it's so great to see you so happy and so joyous, and we're so happy for you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. And I really resonate with what you guys are doing, and keep spreading the message and keep speaking truth. And yeah, it's there's a price to pay for what we're all doing and stepping into it. So I send you courage and love and support and strength to keep going.
Thanks so much.
We're all warriors of light, and we all have a mission. We've all come here, and we're all in this together.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Jeff. We'll definitely speak to you soon.
Yeah, definitely. I'll talk to you guys soon and have an awesome, is it evening or daytime? What time is there?
Day here.
Day here. Afternoon.
Have a good day, and yeah, we'll talk soon and connect shortly, I'm sure.
Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, how incredible was that story? I honestly
That was definitely really, really inspiring. And I, as a coach that does healing, I resonate with so many different things with myself and with so many different people feeling repressed emotions, anger, rage, carrying around all that trauma with them. And it just shows what these repressed emotions can do. So if you resonate, or tell us what you liked most about this video, and comment below, let us know.